Hello everyone, today we'll be showing you how to control a 4-digit 7-segment display with Arduino, and we'll start by writing some codes to control this 7-segment display, and then I'll show you how to use a potentiometer to basically, or an external analog device to control your potentiometer. So what I am using is a 4-digit 7-segment display with a common cathode. Right. So the model I'm using is the 5461AS. So it's a 4-digit 7-segment display with common cathode. If you don't have a common cathode but rather a common anode display, that is not going to be an issue. Just some things that I will point out to you to change the code in order to make it work. All right. As you can see on the diagram, schematic rather, you should be using transistors and a number of resistors for your final prototype or project. In this case, I won't be using any of that, but I'll suggest that you do it if you really want to build a finished product. Any really PNP NPN transistor would do. In this case, you can see it's the 2N 2222, but you could use a BC547 if you want to. It's not a big issue. Just have a look at your data sheets for your display to find out the values that you need to use for resistors and transistors. Anyway, let's start by writing down some codes. First thing first, 7-segment display. It's really made of 7 LEDs that you'll have to turn on and off in a certain order in order to display the values you want on screen. So then they go from A through to G, and then you have the decimal point. Really, there is 7 LEDs. Although it's called a 7-segment display, it's really there's 7. So what I do first is I'm gonna start to write, give some names to every segments, and I'll just put a value 9 and 8 where I basically connected these LEDs to Arduino. So I took segment A, which I call pin A, and I connect to input 9 on Arduino, and all you have to do is just do the same for each pin. Connect it to your Arduino. It'll just make your life easier. All right. Now, next, we have 7 segments for each digit, and we will need to turn on each digit as well. So for that, I'll write 4 variable that I will call digit 1 for the first digit, or I'll call it the thousands, and I'll plug it to input 13 on Arduino. Then we'll have digit 2, which I'll be plugging in input 12, and digit 3 in 11, and digit 4, which are the ones, in pin 10. So just a convenient thing to do when you manipulate. Instead of manipulating these numbers within the code, I'll just manipulate the variable name. So that's all you have to do. Just declare your variables first. Give them a convenient name. Okay, now we have written all our variable, and you can really rename them whatever you like. So I assume you have used Arduino before, because this is quite it's not really for beginners. So we have declared our variable now. So the next thing to do is to move into the setup function, and we are going to basically write the flow direction for our pin A through G and DP, and also for our digit 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the function for that is called pin mode. So the way it works is you put the name of your pin, and then you write the direction of the flow. In this case, it's output, which means information will flow from your Arduino to your digit. And then you'll do the same for digit 2, which will be an output. Digit 3, wrote pint, must be thirsty. Alright. Oops, yeah, must be thirsty. Just correct that. Okay. Pin mode, digit 4, output, etc. We'll do the same for our 8 segments, rather 7 segments, and the decimal point. So same function. You write down pin mode, pint, must be thirsty. Oh, I would kill for a pint right now, to be honest. Pretty hot outside today. Alright, and you'll just do the same for every pin. Nothing really complicated so far. Okay, I'll verify my code. I'll press the button verify regularly, just to make sure I'm not carrying some mistake along the way while I'm coding. I'll just make it easier to just do that before you write a lot of code. So every time I write a block of code, I'll just press verify, just in case I put a comma instead of a semicolon, or a colon instead of a dot or something like that. So I'll just verify every now and then. I think it's a good practice. If you upload that now, you won't see anything, of course, because we haven't written anything in the loop section yet. So we are going to do that now. So what we want to do in our loop is turn on and off each segment that we want to display, and each digit that we want to use. So for that, there is functions, usually end by write. If you want to basically send data from Arduino to your device. In our case, we want to simply send highs and lows, or 0 and 1 and zeros. So what we will do is just use a function called digital write, and we put the name of our pin, and we want to send a 1. In Arduino you can call it a high, and we'll do the same for every pin. So here what I'm doing really is writing a 1, sending a 1 to each pin, which means I want to turn them all on. So it's not very difficult at the moment. I think it's all simple and easy. So again, if I send that to Arduino right now, I'm still not going to see anything. I've added 2 lines of codes here, which you shouldn't worry about at the moment. Just write them down. It's called serial begin and delay in my void loop and my setup sections. and again, you should be a beginner if you really are looking at this tutorial right now, so you should already know what it is. So now what we need to do is just as for the pins, we need to basically choose, or rather tell Arduino which digit we want to turn on. And this is where you are going to have to pay attention to whether you have a display that is either using a common anode or common cathode. In my case, I use common cathode, which means the cathode go to the ground. Cathodes go to the ground, so I'll send a 0 to turn them on. If you have a display that is common anode, then you have to write high or send a 1 to turn on your digit. So as I said, in my case, I'll just write down digit right, digit 1, digit 2, and digit 3, and I send a 0 or a low to each digit to turn them on. If I want them off, I'll write high. So this is where the difference really is between these three types of 7 segments display. It's whether if you have a common anode, you write high. If you have common cathode, you write low to turn them on. Okay, so that's simple. Then you can verify your code. You can send that to your Arduino, and what you should get is you should have all your segments, your display turned on, and see 4, 8, and all the decimal points turned on. So just as simple as that. Okay. I'll give you some time to do that, or you can pause. Okay. Now, now basically, if we want to write instead of writing an 8, if we want to write another number, let's say a 5. Or anything, what we need to do is really turn on and off the segments or the digits we want to display them on. So, for instance, if I want to write a 2, the number 2, so what I have to do is basically turn off the segments called F and C, and the decimal point as well. So I'll turn off the decimal point. So I'll send a low 0. That will turn off the decimal point. F. I'll keep A, B, G, E, and D on. So I'll turn off C, and I'll turn off F. So that piece of code right here should display the value number 2. So let's check that. Very fine. I'll check this, and you should get 4 number 2s displayed on your LCD display. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, it's not very convenient to actually use this. If you want to display something on your digital on your 7-segment display, it's not really a convenient way to do that. What we want to do is basically use this technique and use variables to basically write any numbers that we want. So what you need to do is first, what we're going to do is I'm going to put all the pins to high again. That will give me an 8 and turn on the decimal point, and I will use that as a basis to basically create a function that will create all the numbers that I want. So let's create that function. If you don't know how to create a function, I'll I won't really go through how to write a function. Again, I assume that since you're following this tutorial, you've already come across function, but it's not very complicated. I'll just explain that quickly. So what I want to do is create a function, a void function called choose a digit. Okay, and we want to be able to pass an argument that will correspond to the number or the character we want to display on using our 7-segment display. So basically, when I use the function choose digit and pass in, let's say, my number 2 as an argument, this should display the number 2 on screen. So we'll have to implement that function in order to do that. So what we'll have to do is basically write what we did for number 2 below in the void loop for every character that we want to display, and we want our function to choose one of the characters according to depending on the argument we passed to it. So the best thing to do is to use a switch case statement, which would in which we will write all the possible characters that we can display on with our 7-segment display. So if you have, for instance, a 14-segment display, then you will write all the codes that for every possible character that you want to display. You don't have to write all of them, but in our case, for instance, we're just gonna write codes to be able to display characters going from 0 to 9, but you can write alphanumeric characters, just A, B, C, D, etc. in this case. When you use a switch case statement, you can implement a default case. What we want to use as default is 0, which means if we don't know what to display, and if you pass a value, an argument that is not within the range of anything we implemented, then a 0 would be displayed. Okay, so this I'm just going to copy and paste the code we wrote down there in the void loop, and I'm going to change it to make it correspond to a 0 on screen. So to display 0 really is you'll have to turn off segment G and a decimal point. I've added a little break function there. So basically what it does is once it has the function has chosen the proper case, then it will just break out the statement. So we'll turn off digital point, and we'll turn off G. That's it, and this should display a 0. Okay. Now I think you have you understood how it works now. So let's carry on, and if we want to display, for instance, number 1, now we'll start writing the cases. So case 1, and 1 correspond to the argument we pass to the choose digit variable. Case 1, we want to display a 1. So I'll copy and paste the code again. Oops. I'll just modify it. Okay, I'll just turn off the pins that I don't need. So to display a 1, really, you just have to keep B and C on. Everything else, you put too low. There are easier way to write this code, really, because we're really repeating ourselves really often. But in the case of this tutorial, we'll just do it that way. Okay, so just to not waste too much time, and I think you understand how it works, I'll just did it for every number that I want to display, so from 0 to 9. All I have to do now, if I want to use the function, I'll just write its name somewhere down in the loop section. Let's go back to the loop section. Right here. So we had this this code earlier. I'll replace it by my new function, which is called choseDigit. I'll pass in the number I want to display as an argument, and that's all there is to it. So now I'll verify my code, upload. Okay, and now I should see 4 5s displayed on my my 7-segment display. Okay. Now, of course, this is not how you want to use your 7-segment display. We have 4 digits, and we want to be able to display our number in the digit of our choosing. So, just as for the choseDigit function, we'll write a function for it to choose the digit. But for now, let's play around with the current function we have right now. Let's say, for instance, I want to create a function to. I'm going to use a for loop to basically just to check that every my switch case works fine. What I want to do is just create a function called for loop, where I'm going to go from 0 to 9. And incrementing the value of I, just to see that all my cases here are displayed properly and I haven't made any mistakes. So basically this function will just go through each cases one after another and display them on screen. That'll just show just to see if I haven't made any sort of mistake. So I'll just upload this, and I should have. What you should get is basically numbers going one after another. I've added a delay of 1000 milliseconds, which is really 1 second, otherwise it will just scroll so fast I won't be able to see. And everything is working fine, so I'll see all my digits are displayed properly from 0 to 9. Okay. Now back to our schematics. Now what we need to do, as I said earlier, is really display the numbers that we want to in each specific digit that we choose to. So there is a technique for that that is called multiplexing. And multiplexing, really, what multiplexing is basically we'll display if we have a number such as, if we have 1000 that we want to display 1000, what we really want to do is just display number 1, turn on the first digit and display number 1, then display the second number, the third number, and the fourth number. But we'll do them one after another, but we'll do it so fast that our eye will not be able to perceive it, and what we will see on a digital on our 7-segment display, just number 1000 displayed on screen. So that is called multiplexing. Don't worry if it's not clear now. We'll go through that step by step. So first, what we're going to start to do is, instead of displaying 4 numbers on our number on the 4 digits, what we're going to do is just display this on the first digit. So I want to basically just turn off digit number 2, 3, and 4, and to do that, I'll change. Instead of sending a low or 0, I'll send a 1, a high, and that will turn them off, and I'll be left with digit 1 on only. Okay. Now, of course, that's again, it's not very convenient way of using that. We want to be able to pick the digit that we want to turn on and off, depending on the value we want to display. So for that, we're going to create a new function called pick digit, which will allow us to pick the digit that we want to use and to display within that digit a number that we want. So pick digit will have an argument called digit, and we have 4 digits, so our valid argument would go from 1 to 4. Okay. And just wanting to check. Right, so this function, effectively what it's going to do is just help us to select which digits we want to use at a specific time, in order to do what we call multiplexing. So we want to display characters, numbers on a digit. So I'll just copy the code I have on in my loop below. So really, I'm just going to do a cut and paste. I'm going to write that code, paste that code here. So instead of having it in my void loop, I'll just call that function and turn on and off the digit that I want to by passing it as an argument. So we'll put them first to high, so which means all my digits off since I'm using a common cathode. They'll be all to low if you are using a common anode digital 7-segment display. So I'll start by turning them all off by sending a 1, and then I'll use again a switch case, which will use the argument that we pass to the function to select which digit to turn on. So in case if the argument is a 1, so that would be case 1, and what we want to do is write send a 0 to digital to the digit 1. So we'll send a low, and that will turn the first digit on. And of course we break out once we've done that. So we'll start with all of them off, and then depending on the argument we passed, and we'll turn on the selected digit. So we'll do that for case 2, which will turn on the second digit. Case 3. Don't forget the break. And instead of writing case 4, I'm just going to write default. So if something else but 4 is passed, then it's going to turn on digital 4. What you could do is really write case 4 and digital write digit 4 low and break, and as a default you'll just revert back to everything off, or eventually write something on screen, or call another function to display something else. But in our case we're just going to do that. Okay, so now we have a function that will pick the digit and display and turn it on. So we'll see our digit that we have chosen with choose digit displayed on the correct digit. The right number that we've chosen with choose digit displayed on the right digit. So let's say I want to display my number on in the 10th, so in the 3rd digit. So I'll write pick digit and I'll choose digit number 3. Verify. Okay. So once uploaded, you can see that all my all the digits are off except for the digit number 3. Okay. Right. It should be clear now. Now we're gonna move on, and instead of having two separate functions to basically choose the digit, what we're going to do is create a new function that will use these two functions. And this function will basically help us. Will pass in as an argument a number that will then be divided by 4, and this function will put the first value, the first character in the first digit, and the second character in the second digit, the third character in the third digit, and the fourth character in the fourth digit. So for that we need to create a new function that will use pick digit and choose digits to display the values that we want on screen. So I'm going to call this new function 7th segment. What this function will be doing is basically make use of the two previous functions and really display the numbers, the number that we've chosen. So let's see how to do that. So the first character, I will call this the thousands. Then the second character the hundreds, and the third character the tens, and then we have the units. So we want to split our number into four characters. So first we'll start with by picking the first digit. So let's say we want to display 1, 2, 3, and 4 on our segment display. So we'll have to divide that number into 4 parts: the thousands, the hundreds, the tens, and the unit. So we're going to use pick digit and choose digits. So first we'll use choose digit, and we'll pass inside choose digit, we'll pass number 1 as an argument. Number 1. If we leave it like this, that will only display number 1 on screen. Okay, so we'll have to number 1 on our 7th segment display and on every display. So we have to pick the digit. In this case, we'll put the first digit, so the thousands, and we want so we will be displaying number 1, choose digit number 1, and we want to display it in the on the first digit, and we want to display this digit for a delay of 1000 milliseconds, so that's 1 second. Don't forget the delay, that's quite important. You will see why in a second. Then we'll do the same for number 2. We'll choose digit, and we pass the value we want to display, which is number 2. So this has been defined here. Then we pick the digit. In this case, we want to display number 2 in the hundreds, so that's digit number 2. Then we'll put a delay of 1 second. Then we'll do the same for the hundreds. So we'll choose the digit, and we want to display 3. Then we'll pick the digit, which is the hundreds, so it's digit 3, and a delay of 1000 milliseconds, 1 second. We'll do the same for the fourth digit, number 4. So we want to display number 4. Pick digit, that would be the units, so it's digit 4, and we want a delay of 1000 milliseconds. So what the function is going to do is basically display number 1 in the first digit in 1000 for 1 second, then turn off the digit number 1, and then number 2 will be turned on and will be displayed in the hundreds, Okay, for again 1000 milliseconds. So what I'm going to do, instead of using delay 1000, I'm going to create a variable that will store a time value. That will make things a bit easier, because we'll be manipulating that later. So I'll call this variable time, and I'll put it as a value 1 second, or 1000 milliseconds in it. So I'll replace 1000 by time. I'll just be easier later when I want to change that value. Okay. Okay. Now let's verify this. Okay. So good so far. All right. Now we'll have to use these functions, and since we are using pick digit and choose digit within that functions, we don't need choose digit and pick digit anymore in our void loop section. So we'll be using, from now on, we'll be using one function and one function only, and that would be 7 segment. So all I have to do now is write 7 segments. With no argument at the moment. Okay, just things correct here. Okay, so this function should be displaying the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 on my screen. So I'll just upload this, and I should see 1, 2, 3, and 4 displayed on the screen one after another. Okay, that's all for multiplexing, really. So because the delay time is so important, it's 1 second, we will see the we are seeing the numbers displayed one after another. So what we want to do to make use of multiplexing is change the value of time and make it a smaller number, so that this change will be so fast that we won't be able to see the number displayed one after another. Okay, so as you can see now, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and 4 displayed at the same time. I can see some flickering, because obviously the value of 10 is a bit too high. So what you'll have to do is adjust the value of time and lower it until you won't see any flickering anymore. So at the moment there's too much flickering, so that's not really good. But that's basically what multiplexing is. We'll just display the values one after another so quickly that the eye can't see I can't see them being displayed one after another. Okay, so I'll change the value to a lower value. Much better. I'll lower it to 5 milliseconds. There is some flickering that appears on the camera, but really I can't see any with my own eyes. Yeah, it's really just flickering in the camera, but at home it just works fine. 5 milliseconds is the correct value for that. So that's all for multiplexing, really. There's not much to it. However, we still need to improve our functions. Ideally, what we want to do is basically instead of having to write 7 segments and then go inside 7 segments and write one and pick each number one after another, what we want to do is create a function that has an argument, and this argument would be the value we want to display on screen. So what we are going to do now, we're going to modify this 7 segments function. So we'll be using a little bit of math for that. As I said earlier, I'll call the first digit the thousands, the second digit the hundreds, and third digit the tens, and one digit the ones. So next time we'll be using the function instead of writing down writing it down this way and putting the digit within choose digit functions. We are going to create. We're going to implement. Sorry. What we want to do is use 7 segment that way. We'll pass the number we want, the value we want to display as an argument, and this will be displayed on screen. Okay, that will make things a lot easier and a lot more generic as well. So let's start by writing some code. So what we are going to display on the screen at the moment is an integer. So as I said earlier, the first digit, we're going to call that, we're going to create four variables. The first one, we'll call that the thousands. Second one, thousands. Second one, the hundreds. Third one, the tens. Fourth one, the ones. So these are our four variables. So now instead of putting the value in choose digit, we'll put 1,000 for digit 1. For digit 2, put hundreds. Digit 3, the tens. And digit 4, the ones. So now these we're going to turn these into variables, and we're going to give them a type. I have chosen unsigned car as a type for my variables, so no negative values. Okay, unsigned cars. I'll do the same for hundreds, tens, and ones. So now what I need to do is use a little bit of mathematics to basically split my number into 4 parts. Okay. So in order to display if we want to display 1, 2, 3, and 4, what we need to do to display number 1 is take the number that is passed as an argument divided by 1,000. So for 1, 2, 3, and 4, that will give us 1.2, 3, and 4. But we don't want to keep what's after the comma, the decimals. So we'll put that into brackets, and we'll turn it into an int. Okay, so that will keep just the first digit, number 1. So number 1 we'll put in the thousands. Now for the second one, we'll do for the hundreds, we'll do the same. So I'll just copy and paste numbers. So we'll to display the hundreds, what we need to do, we're going to use something called a modulo. Okay. We'll have to divide our numbers, however, by 100, not by 1,000. So we want an int. Okay. And since it's the hundreds we're interested in, we'll divide the number by 100, and we'll keep the remaining, which is so we'll use modulo 10, and what the number divided by 100 in our case 1, 2, 3, 4 will give us 12, and modulo 12 is 2. 12 modulo 10 is 2. Now we do the same for the tens. This time we'll divide number by 10. So number divided by 10. And again, we take modulo 10. So that will give us 3. And for the ones, It's another int, so we don't need to divide it by anything this time. Really would be dividing number by 1, but we don't need a number divided by 1 is really the number itself. So we'll just write number modulo 10, which would give us the last digit. I'll put an int. Okay. Voila. And that's all there is to it. This is how you split a number into 4 parts. And now we can use our 7-segment function, passing a value, and it will just split that value into 4 digits and put them into each of our variables and display them on screen. So let's say, for example, I'll pass in 6, 7, 8, 9 to my as an argument, and if I upload that to my Arduino, effectively what I should see being displayed is the value 6, 7, 8, 9. That's all there is to it, really. Now, I'll let you try that at home quickly. Now, of course, this value, in the real world, you don't want to type it by hand within the code to display it. You're probably going to have some sort of something connected to your device that will give you this value. In our case, for example, we want to read the value from a potentiometer. Okay, so a potentiometer, really, we want to read from the analog input of Arduino the value sent by a potentiometer. Okay. So let's see how we do that. I'm just gonna move my code around quickly to just make it easier. Okay. Okay. So now, if you don't know, if you haven't done so yet, I'll suggest that you try a tutorial on how to read analog input from potentiometer. There is a tutorial that comes with the Arduino, an example on how to read analog input. So in this case, we're using a potentiometer, but really it can be anything else. Could be a sensor. So what I'm going to do is write a new variable. I'm going to call it sensor, not potentiometer, because I want to make this quite generic, because again, I'm using a potentiometer, but it could be something else. It could be a thermistor, a photoresistor, or anything really. When you read to read the value from an analog input, use a function analog read, and you'll choose the pin in which your potentiometer is connected to, or your sensor is connected to. Okay, and this will read the value. Okay, and return a value between 0 to 1033. So for my potentiometer, the minimum value would be 0, and the maximum value return would be 1023. So that's 1024 values. Okay, and to show you that, you can to make sure of that, you can write to the serial port, and you can print the sensor value and display it on screen. So let's try that. Okay, I've uploaded my code. Now I'm going to open the serial window. And as you can see on your right hand side, I'm displaying the values of my potentiometer. So I'm going to turn it down and up, and I can see the value changing. So that's all working so far. Okay. So we can see maximum value is 1023 and minimum 0. Okay. Now, what we are going to do is replace pass this value, this sensor value, as an argument to our 7-segment function. So now you can make you guess what you are going to see, and now our display will be displaying the values of our potentiometer. As you can see on your screen, I'm turning it up and down. Maximum value 1023, minimum value 0, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Okay, now you don't have to display this value. Of course, you can manipulate the sensor value to display, for example, whatever you like, really, because 0 to 1023 might not be a convenient way of this. It's not probably the right way you want to display information. So you can create a new function or manipulate this value, and for example, if it's temperature, you just make a function that turn this value of your sensor into temperature or distance. So instead of having 1 to 1023, you'll have meters or kilometers or temperature. Okay. So in real world, you wouldn't use this value just like that. You will probably do some. You'll probably manipulate it to display something that is more meaningful. Okay. All right. That's all for this tutorial. Of course, feel free to play with the code and improve it if you can. There's many ways. Yeah, there's many improvements that can be done, and more things that you can do and simplify part of the code. Just play around with it. If you have any suggestions or questions, let me know. Bye.